Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got another mock draft video to help you guys get ready for this upcoming season. This is for the 5th position of our 12-man mock drafts. Again, this is for PPR redraft leagues. So again, we'll be drafting accordingly to that. I'll be explaining all the moves that I'm making and why I'm picking those particular players. And that way you're able to actually see also other players, picking other spots and seeing where these guys are falling, which is going to hopefully help you guys out. If you guys have not already, make sure you guys check out the videos, check out our rankings, check out our Dynasty if you're in Dynasty, and let's get this going. All right, so the first thing you're going to see is we are in the 5th spot right here on a 12-man league. We are going to obviously start the draft. You're going to see obviously a lot of running backs going first, which is what I typically will recommend anyways, is running back. Now, if you watched our other videos, I do not like picks between 4 and 8 in a 12-man league. This is really tough. You've got some good running backs that are taken early. This is where you see a player like Justin Jefferson going off the board, who I think is actually a really good pickup even this early in your draft. Now, looking at this, I've got Eckler and Kupp. I'm not crazy about Kupp at this spot. I think maybe the 6th or 7th. I actually will end up going to Eckler just because I think Eckler will have obviously a really good season. They're not going to utilize him as much as they used to, but they say that, and then you'll be surprised, and all of a sudden Chargers are still running him like crazy. So Eckler's more of that safe floor where, again, you're not risking too much, hopefully. Now on the swing, you'll see obviously some of the receivers, again, running backs going on into this draft. Now you could obviously go wide receiver in this. You've got like Deebo Samuel. You can even go tight end like Mark Andrews. But for me, I'm actually going to go Alvin Kamara. Even though there's obviously a lot of things going on with him in the legal battle sense, but right now he is not suspended. Alvin Kamara is a top 5 running back in fantasy. So to have him in the 2nd round is an amazing, amazing steal. Now I'm obviously going to start picking up more depth. I can either go running back again because I have a flex spot I can fill, like Ezekiel Elliott, who could squeak into the top 10. Obviously, there's some concerns with the injuries on the Dallas offensive line. But with that said, I can also go something like Kyle Pitts, who's going to be a star, who I'm going to pick here for his team. Yes, you've got Drake London, who obviously came in. Yes, you've got Marcus Mariota, who's obviously a little bit of a concern at the quarterback play, but Kyle Pitts is going to get a lot of targets his way, so I like that pickup there. Now you start looking at the stretches here. I'm actually going to go DJ Moore because I want to start filling my wide receiver, and DJ Moore is, especially with an upgraded quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and yes, he is an upgrade to what he had. DJ Moore was still over 1,000 yards, and he's going to get heavily targeted, so I like DJ Moore a lot. He's somebody that I've had huge upside for, and I like him in almost every draft I could possibly get him in. Now you're looking here, it's a little bit tougher, right? You got Mike Williams, who a lot of people love. I'm not super crazy about him. He's obviously going to do really well, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I got to draft him in the 5th round. Then you got obviously Gibson, who's gotten some value due to the unfortunate events that happened to Brian Robinson, which obviously hopefully he stays healthy and he can come back really strong for that and this season. You could also stretch out into getting a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who, if you guys have watched any of my videos, I tend to go a little bit later in the the quarterback spot. So for me, I'm actually going to stretch and get Eli Mitchell. I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be a good pickup as far as a flex goes. Again, I'm not needing him to start every single week, but I could use him in this offense, who I think will still be utilized as the RB1 for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, again, we're getting a lot of the depth part. Godwin, I've actually seen fall a little bit further just because of his injuries. For me, I like Darnell Mooney here. I think Mooney is an absolute beast. He's going to get targets from Justin Fields. He was targeted the 5th most last year in fantasy as far as a receiver goes. And again, I don't see that changing up for him at all. So I've got my running backs, I got a flex, tight end, and wide receiver. So now it is all depth. Most of you will probably start picking up quarterbacks here, but again, I'm thinking about depth. So for me, I'm going to grab a wide receiver in Gabe Davis, who's obviously highly touted this offseason, and he looks really good in the preseason. He looked really good, obviously, in the end of last season, and I think he'll get a lot of those targets that obviously went to Cole Beasley or they went to Emmanuel Sanders in the past. He's going to get a lot of that because there really isn't somebody that's absolutely standing out, right? Now, in this round, I could go quarterback, and I do like having Dak Prescott here, but I think I could still go a little bit later in that. Again, I'm going to fill my depth, so I like Brandon Ayuk. I think there's a lot of hype behind him. You could also go Elijah Moore. There's nothing wrong with that. I think he's done an amazing job, and he's going to be obviously the wide receiver 1 for the Jets, but I like Brandon Ayuk and I like what's going on with him and Trey Lance this offseason. And I think he's finally getting out of that doghouse that unfortunately he had early on last season. Obviously, you see Dak Prescott still fall there. And I can still go Dak. I can also go Derek Carr, Trey Lance with his rushing upside and match him up with Brandon Ayuk. And there's obviously Tua, Kirk Cousins. So there's really some good options here. So I'd rather fill in some of my depth. Right here, I'm going to Ramondre Stevenson, who has been possibly hyped into the running back 1 for the New England Patriots. Obviously, Damien Harris is still there. Damian Harris, obviously, if he didn't have his rushing touchdowns, was not a great fantasy back last season. Ramondre Stevenson is going to get a lot of the James White options. So I like that pickup being a little bit later. Again, he's a backup. I'm not losing a lot out of that. Here, I will start looking at some depth here. You got James Robinson. You got Alexander Mattison, who could possibly be traded. I know there's teams asking about him. I'm actually going to go quarterback here. I'm going to go get my quarterback in Kirk Cousins. You saw Dak Prescott, Lance, Carr, Rodgers. All these guys were gone. So I'm going to go quarterback here, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to be an absolute stud. He's going to be in the top 10. I'm calling it. He's been 11, 12 every single year. He's going to be top 10 for sure in fantasy. Again, filling out the rest of my draft, I'm going to go Alexander Mattison just in case. Obviously, if Dalvin Cook does have an injury here or there, Madison is a great fill-in, and he does a really good job filling in for Dalvin Cook. So I think that's not a risk at all. You could go, start matching up your handcuffs. Someone like a Josh Kelly or an Isaiah Spiller. Obviously, here it's a little bit tougher. Here's a little bit tougher. I wouldn't go after those guys. But Madison, I think, is a good pickup. Again, looking at depth, I'm not usually someone who grabs a tight end, but I'm actually going to go Irv Smith here and grab him and adding value. I want to have somebody who can help bring in receptions. I think he's going to be a great asset, part of that heavy passing Minnesota Vikings team, and I'm all for it. So I like Irv Smith a lot. I hype him up quite a bit. I do like him a lot this season. Again, all about the depth chart. So this is where I think a lot of people kind of get lost. They don't know what to do with this. You've got Rondell Moore, who's a good fit, especially for 6 games. Rashad White, possibly with obviously Leonard Fournette. Brian Robinson, hopefully he does come back healthy. I'm going to go Rondell Moore. I think Rondell Moore is a great fit for that offense. Again, somebody who's going to get some targets, especially heavily in the first 6 weeks of the season. And there's nothing wrong with picking up another receiver there. For me, I'm going to actually pick up another quarterback. I'm actually going to go Jameis Winston here. Jameis Winston is a good backup that can play. And I actually think if you look at last year, he was phenomenal. He actually did a really good job for the Saints, and I think he's only going to continue to get better for them. I think a lot of people are always afraid because of his 30 interception season, but I'm not necessarily worried about that. I actually like him a lot there. I'm going to go J.D. McKissic, another good backup running back. Someone who's going to get a lot of receptions, especially with obviously the uncertainty what's going on with Brian Robinson. And then, of course, Gibson, they practically said he didn't have a job. So that's kind of concerning, but McKissic's obviously going to get a lot of the passing downs. Now you can start filling out defense. You got obviously the Steelers here, who I always talk up really highly. I think they're going to be really good. And again, there's a lot of defensive players there, especially with the reigning MVP and TJ Watt. So I like that there. And then just filling a kicker, somebody who can obviously score a lot of points. You got San Francisco and Robbie Gould. You obviously got Will Lutz as well, who's going to be a good one. I'm going to pick Robbie Gould there. So that's the end of the draft. Let me know how you think and feel about this particular draft. Do you like the picks I had? Do you like where I got them? Do you feel really good about being in this particular spot in the 5th pick? Again, let me know how you feel about that. I think I actually feel really good about the running back options that I've got, who are always very difficult, especially in those running back dead zones. I do like the receivers I've gotten there. And then again, picking up a Kirk Cousins, who is phenomenal, who's getting you 11 to 12th spot in fantasy every single year. And then obviously Jameis Winston in the backside. So if you guys have not already checked out our other videos, make sure you check our other mock drafts, of course, our rankings. And then, of course, if you are in Dynasty, make sure you check out our Dynasty playlist. We'll be able to help you guys out with there. If you guys do have questions, always hit us in the comments down below. Of course, you can follow us on our socials. You can always ask questions there. Again, make sure you follow us on all of our platforms to give you guys some insight. And the season's just around the corner, so we will be obviously updating our start sits and then, of course, jumping on those waivers that you'll be absolutely going after once the season starts. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell is on. And of course, if you enjoyed the content, hit the like button. It is greatly appreciated. Again, check out the other stuff, and we'll catch you guys next time.